the granddaughter of immigrants, I think that we get into a lot of complicated disputes with the idea that immigrants are criminals, are drug dealers, and things like that. So I just want to hear what your opinion is on those expectations or those, what do you call it, those stereotypes that are put on Hispanic communities, Latino communities, and how they change the way people perceive immigration.
So you said you're the first generation
Yes,
student
I am.
or first generation American?
I'm a first generation student.
Cool, great. Second generation American? Did I hear that right? Or-
Third generation
Cool.
American on my mom's side.
Great.
Second on my dad's.
When your grandparents then, is that right, came
Yes.
to this country, did they do so through the legal process that was in front of them?
So my father got married to my mother, so he's a legal resident of the United States. She's been here her entire life.
But did she enter legally?
She did.
Okay.
She's born here. Yeah.
Got it.
My grandpa on my dad's side entered in illegally.
Okay. So I'm not here to insult your grandpa, right? But
Yeah.
but we must be very clear that the type of immigration that we support is when you follow our rules and you come on our terms, and that you do not break into a country uninvited and you try to cut.
Can I add something to that? The reason why he left, and a lot of people in Mexico do, is because of the political state, especially in the 70s and 80s, when they decided to move. They have a government that isn't supportive of their constituents, and because of drug problems, their only choice was to move.
Yeah, I totally sympathize. That's not true. It's never the only choice to commit a crime, and we should not put up with it. And so it is an insult to other immigrants from Vietnam and Laos and Pakistan that have to wait decades in line to morally equivalate people that come in and just break in. Oh, I have an unstable country. Like half of the world's countries are unstable. So look, we just have to be very clear with this, is that if you come into the country uninvited, you have committed a crime and you are a criminal. And we could decide that we're not going to enforce our laws, or we can say that when you are a criminal, you should then be punished for that crime, aka sent back to your country of origin, because you were not invited. And it is an insult, again, to the Poles and to the Czechoslovakians and from the Senegalese and people all across the world that don't have the proximity or the luxury just to waltz into America.
You call it a luxury to leave a country that has political tyranny and come into a country with opportunity?
Yes, to live in Mexico, to be able to go 100 miles north and break into America. Do you know how many people in Pakistan would kill to be on that border?
That's why we bring them in.
Well, we shouldn't, right? That's the point. And secondly, do you think that you have a right to immigrate to America?
I think that I didn't have a choice. My grandparents made that decision for me.
And I'm not trying to attack your grandparents, but no one has a right to go to anybody else's country. You are invited. It is a privilege, not a right, to come into America.
So it's a privilege to live a life that requires you to have clean water, clean food, clean air.
Yes, of course it is.
And you have to fight for that?
Yes, it is not.
But we didn't?
Hold on a sec. Well,
born here, we didn't fight for that?
Well, my ancestors did fight for that, actually, and I'm a very thankful recipient of many generations of Americans that fought for the greatest nation ever to exist.
By doing what? Coming here?
Well,
illegally?
Wait, what did my ancestors do? They
came here illegally.
They came over here in 1620, fought in the Revolutionary War, fought in the Civil War, fought in World War I.
So because my grandpa didn't come here in
II.
1620, it gives him no right to have a good life?
He can fill out paperwork and wait in line, like the rest of the world.
Pretty sure this girl is hitting a wall trying to defend the wrongful entitlement of illegal immigrants. She definitely hasn't gotten deep enough into both sides of the argument to have any sort of productive conversation, let alone a debate.
Do you think there's differences between men and women?
Yes, there are biological differences between men and women.
But I'm saying there's certain character attributes and traits of how young men should be raised and how young ladies should be raised.
You are defining that women should be raised in one way and men should be raised in another.
Without a shadow of a doubt, yes. Men
How
should
men be raised?
to be gentlemen, to never use force unless absolutely necessary. And women who are more biologically likely to be nurturers and caretakers should be taught to be ladies from a young age. That's biologically consistent.
So, and stay at home. And
No, if women want to do something different, then that's fine. However, the data shows when men and women around ages 6 to 18 are given the option of what kind of majors they want to study, women tend to go towards early childhood education, nursing, so on and so forth, and men tend to go towards business and finance. Men and women have biological differences.
because of the way that they were raised.
No. No, that. You and I completely disagree. It's the DNA chromosomal structure that is inherent to who they are. Men are better at some things than women, and women are better at some things than men.
What things are men better at?
Lifting heavy objects. Women are better caretakers and nurturers. Women are more organized. Women mature earlier.
Dude, I'm a way better nurturer than my sister. I work with kids. Holy shit.
There are always exceptions to the rule, but the rule exists for a reason. So the top.
There cannot be exceptions to a rule because the rule doesn't exist.
No, that's not the case. You have the rule, which is a generally true on the aggregate, but you always have things that are outliers to the data trend. Men are typically physically gifted than women. That's true.
I'm sorry. Say that again?
That men are usually stronger physically than women. That is true. The data supports that. Are there women that are stronger than men? Of course. That's an exception to a rule. That's called an outlier to data.
How is that a naturally better then?
I'm not saying better. I'm not saying one sex or gender is better than the other. They're different.
I can see your point. I can see that men do have more testosterone.
Oh, okay.
They are
That's what I'm
stronger.
saying. So there's differences.
Yes, but
Therefore, men are better at certain things than women, and women are better at certain things than men.
That chick's brain almost went into Operation Overdrive trying to compute the amount of information and common sense she just received. Schools keep failing these kids, and they do not even know it.
Hey, I really wanted to thank you for coming out today, and specifically for talking to those who have different viewpoints than your own. I'm not looking to argue with you. I just want to know about the ideology as to why you think that a woman shouldn't have the right to her own bodily autonomy in regards to abortion.
A woman should have the right to her own bodily autonomy, but not to kill another human. You know, but as far as the idea that I'm like sitting awake at night thinking, how do I control women's bodies? No, not really, not at all, actually. The thing that I do care about is the preservation of human lives. I don't have an argument that pro-choicers are ignoring a premise. That's fine. You're allowed to ignore a premise or think a premise that I'm giving is wrong. It turns out that the vast majority of women for literally all of human existence have engaged in childbearing and rearing, and it has not, in fact, ruined their lives. In fact, married women with children are, by poll data, the happiest women in America.
All right, thank you for the straw man fallacy. Thank you.
I missed what she actually said. What was it? Straw man?
Straw man fallacy, I think.
You can't just shout straw man and run away. Do you want to come back and explain why it was a straw man, or no? Okay, you're just going to run away.
The way she came up, you'd think she had all of her facts intact and was ready to give a good debate, but like a typical Wokie, the moment her arguments lost base, she started rattling off insults and ran away.
A company that's like close to being a fascist, and then like.
Okay. How am I?
Sorry.
Let's go through this. How am I a fascist?
Dude, like you.
Can you name one thing I believe that's fascist?
You believe that like you on.
don't boo him. Let him think.
But
I'm such a bad fascist. I let the people who disagree in open mic to talk to me for 2 hours uninterrupted.
Okay.
I'm an awful fascist.
It is really fun watching these kids show off the big words they just learnt, because when you ask them to define it, they crumble and make a mess of themselves.
If it was up to you, what would you change about the Constitution, if anything?
And that is my note answering this question.
Have a good one.
That's perfect for Dave here. We'll let Dave go.
No, I'm not. I'm okay.
Okay.
Loaded question equals I have no answers to that. Got it.
I'm a feminist, and I don't hate men.
Okay, so you are a self-described feminist. What is a woman?
Why do you want to know?
I'm infinitely curious.
What's a man?
You're looking at one.
You're saying these things because you're trying to get a gotcha.
You're
okay,
a feminist. Shouldn't you be able to tell me what a woman is?
I'm a feminist.
Isn't that probably important to feminism? What is the woman that you're trying to advance and protect?
Bruh.
Isn't that integral to? Is that the whole feminist project? The war
Asking
against
what a woman is the only way that you can get a gotcha over everybody else. Why is it so important to you to define things in certain categories? How does that help your day-to-day life? Like
what other categories in the human species are there besides male and female?
Well, I just think that categorization is usually unhelpful when we're trying to improve society, right?
I have XY chromosomes.
Okay.
Can I give birth?
No, you can't.
Bingo. That's why categorization matters.
A feminist does not know what a woman is. This is downright embarrassing that we still have to explain what a woman is to an adult who claims they are old enough to vote.
Can you clarify your definition of critical race theory?
Yeah, Derek Bell's. So what he wrote in 1991, Intro to Critical Race Theory. What's in that book?
The whole book is your definition.
How about this? The one I used. Call everything racist till you control it.
Oh, so wait, but then that literally means that critical race theory can mean basically anything you want it to, right? Like,
only if you're calling it racist till you control it. I mean, I'm defining critical race theory in the modern American context as that. We can go back to Herbert Marcuse, One-Dimensional Man, or Jacques Derrida, or Michel Foucault, but the most agreed upon academic theory is Intro to Critical Race Theory, 1991 by Derek Bell.
Yeah. Wait, but...
Are you familiar with that literature?
Well, yeah, I've read the book, but I don't remember anything about it. It was for, like, a college class. Like, let's be honest, nobody remembers the books they read in college.
Sounds like a great value proposition to go to college.
No, it is, trust me. But, like, well, but you didn't go to college, so I guess you wouldn't know.
It's true, I didn't.
So
let me ask you, though, does that mean that I'm not able to have this conversation with you? Because I actually remember the book and you didn't, and you paid for it.
So, first of all, I didn't pay for it. There's these things called scholarships.
Oh, so somebody else paid for you not to remember the book that you were supposed to read. Oh, anyways, some wealthy donor or taxpayer paid for you to not remember the book.
I have a question. Who are your wealthy donors?
Many of them are in this room. Thank you guys for your wonderful support, by the way.
Interesting.
We have over 130,000 grassroots donors at Turning Point USA, 130,000. I think we have some people in the back that chip in $5, $10, $15. God bless you, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you, God bless you. We are a grassroots funded operation. But let me give you another example. I'll give you 5 things that critical race theory believes. Number 1, the notion that racism is ordinary and everywhere. Number 2, the idea of interest convergence, otherwise known as intersectionality. Number 3, the social construction of race, meaning that there is a social construction around race in our society. The 4, idea of storytelling and counter storytelling. Number 5 is that no matter how hard you work, no matter how hard you do, you cannot remove racism from your society. Those are 5 pillars of critical race theory based on Derek Bell's Intro to Critical Race Theory. Does that ring a bell?
Yes, but like, okay, so let me stick with this. What do you think? Oh.
We'll edit that out.
My train. Oh, my bad. Wait, am I not allowed to?
It's not encouraged.
Oh, okay, sorry. What was the third point? My mind is dying.
The social construction of race?
The social construction of race. Do you not think that race is at least partially socially constructed?
Depends how you define it.
So, like, what defines where one race ends and where one race begins?
Depends who you're asking. I think race is completely and totally irrelevant. Do you think race is relevant?
No.
Okay, then why are we talking about race all the time, and why are we talking about critical race theory?
Well, you brought it up at first when you were doing your speech.
Right, remember I said it was a lie from the pit of hell that we should repudiate and stop talking about all the time? You're on scholarship?
Sorry, what?
Nothing, sorry, go ahead.
So, to answer your question, I don't think that race means anything, and I guess you don't either, right?
Yeah.
Right, so then why do you keep bringing up race whenever you're on or speaking on a stage? I am not speaking on a stage bringing up critical race theory. You are.
No. So. I'm bringing up how critical race theory destroys society and how we shouldn't talk about race all the time.
Okay, but you're bringing up race.
No, critical race theory, not race.
Okay, so what's the second word in that?
Yeah, it's race, but it's a theory of how to view race, of which is a mind virus pathogen destroying America, of which I said again, just to reemphasize for those in the back, we could replay the tape, we could throw the red flag, we'll watch it over again. I said that what? Race means nothing. I care about your actions, your character, and most importantly, your soul. Thank you for being here tonight.
This kid is a clear example of why you need to actually be able to function in a regular school as a normal person before going off to college. His parents must be feeling secondhand embarrassment watching their son.
So somebody else who's next to you, he also has the Holy Spirit, and he interprets it to mean something else. How do you determine which one of you is correct? How do you know that you're not wrong and he's not right?
I guess you don't. I'm always okay with being wrong.
But there is
I
a
just
way.
feel like
There is a way that you can know.
if your religion, I mean, kept you in God's presence, why do you practice variance every day? It seems like a fleshly thing rather than living in the spirit, which is, you know, trying to live with love, joy, happiness, self-control, and all those things, and being nice to people, but you argue with people every day.
Christianity is about mastering the passions.
There's a lot of things in the Bible.
There's a time and a place for passions, but you're not supposed to live inside of passions. Not at all. That's antithetical to Christian ethics, is to live inside your passions. Just
well, it's
living
about living
every day.
in the spirit.
What's that?
It's about living in the spirit and not in flesh.
Yeah, but what does that mean?
Galatians 5, about living in the spirit. There's a whole thing about living in the
Yeah, but what does that
fruits of the
mean,
spirit.
though? Like, how would you instruct somebody to do that?
Well, you would see the part where it says that is the flesh, which is sexual impurity, wrath, variance, like all the...
Yeah, but 500 different people read that and come away with 500 different interpretations. How do you know which one's right? How do you know who's correct? That's the big problem, right?
Well, are you saying that you're correct? Because I'm not saying that I'm completely correct. I'm saying that I'm still learning, but you act like you know everything.
We have what's called apostolic succession, which goes all the way back to the original apostles of Jesus Christ from the church with an unchanging tradition. And by the way, my church were the ones who put the Bible together. We were the ones who put it together. Put the entire Bible together, that was us.
Homegirl definitely has zero knowledge about what it is to be a real Christian, and it shows with the way she looks. That pink dye must have seeped into her brain.
I am pro-life because life begins in the womb at conception, and I think that our personhood, our rights should not be based on having to be human plus something else. That's exactly what happened with slavery, where we were told that you have to be human plus not black. And now we're saying that you have to be human plus a certain age, or human and in a different location. And so really what abortion is age-based discrimination.
Black people weren't seen as humans.
They weren't seen as human beings.
Black people were not seen as humans.
They were like...
The Supreme Court actually said that they were 3/5 a human person. Just like how you all have denied that a child in the womb is a human person.
No, it's not. It's not human.
That's fundamentally incorrect. What is it? What is a child in the womb? Is it a koala bear? When I get pregnant, am I pregnant with a koala bear? I'm pregnant with a member of our species.
A fetus of a dolphin looks the same as a fetus that's a human. You literally can't tell them apart because it's not human yet. It's not.
Does somebody else have a question?
I just want to note that as a black woman and as a person who got my degree in biology, life does begin at conception.
Did she really think pulling up to a political debate looking like a streetwalker would make people take her seriously? The moment she stepped up to that mock looking like that, she lost everything she claimed she was fighting for.
It's really laughable that it's only white people equating slavery to owning an abortion. Not once have I heard one black or woman of color.
Faith, do you want to come up here? Because apparently color matters.
I would like to hear from a woman of color why
sure,
that
Faith,
isn't racist.
Come on up here.
I would rather hear that.
Go ahead, Faith.
What's so funny?
Why are you pro-life, Faith?
Yes, thank you.
I would rather hear it from a woman of color, but then proceed to disregard everything the woman of color says because they do not align with your own beliefs. How typical.
Do you guys set your own prices? So how come the man just doesn't set his own price equal to the woman?
Because no one buys it.
Exactly. So how would you guys can implement that? You guys paid this, get the same.
No, of course it's market driven.
Yeah, exactly. So if the law gets passed, they would still make more than the man.
Well, no,
because they have more subscribers, right? And not because they're getting paid more.
It depends how it's written, but in the abstract, it would say that equal work for equal pay. That's literally what they just marched in the streets for.
So your question is not so much as like getting paid by the same rate pay, but you're saying annual pay?
It depends. So let's say there was a company that employs OnlyFans models, and then they take a cut and they do all the work for you, okay? And they employ male and female OnlyFans models, and they both work 10 hours a day. The female OnlyFans models will earn $1 million a year for the company, and the males will only bring in $100,000 a year for the company. Should they have to pay both of them the same because it's equal work for equal pay? Or should they give more money to who's actually bringing money to the door, the women for the company?
I don't know. I don't have like an opinion on like that kind of stuff. Like,
I think you both know the answer. You're just afraid to say it. That,
no.
That
Like-
women should be able to earn what they earn and they provide in the OnlyFans model. I find OnlyFans to be disgusting. That's a separate issue we talk later. But I'm just trying to find this. However, how is that any different in a corporate environment when men are more likely to travel for work, they're more likely to go make the second or third call for a promotion or a raise? So the equal pay for equal work movement kind of falls apart when it comes down to online female modeling, doesn't it?
Honestly, I don't think like I think it should be fair. Sorry, I think it should be fair between like how much they earn, but that it is actually up to like how much you want to earn by the amount of posting you're doing. If you're not posting anything, you're not going to make just as much as that girl that is posting all the time.
Okay.
Yeah. Me and Imogen don't earn the same. She posts more than me, and like she makes more than me.
Is that fair?
Well, I think it is fair because it's up to me.
I agree.
I think
So shouldn't we structure all of society that way? Who works the hardest gets the most?
Yes. So
We
I
agree.
like-
The feminism is dead.
Let's say I work 2 hours a day, Imogen's working 8 hours a day doing TikToks, Reels, and all of that stuff, like making content for the OF wall and everything. She's earning more than me,
Private
but then I'm being like lazy and I'm laying back. I'm not making that much. So
You're
it's
making
the
an
same-
argument for market-based capitalism pretty well.
I think that it's up to the men. If he was to work just as much as Imogen, doing 8 hours a day, then he should just earn just as much. But then
By
you've got to
law or just let it happen?
just let it happen.
Okay, and if he falls short and he ends up earning half?
Then just work harder because she's been working hard.
Got it. So if you look at a big company like Apple,
Yeah.
and I tell you that the female engineers earn less than the male engineers, just let it happen, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Just let it happen. No?
Oh no, I agree.
Oh yeah, just let it happen.
Yeah.
Okay, I agree.
Yeah.
That we are wrecking new age feminism here.
Destroyed. Annihilated. Okay, I want to come back really quick. You brought up the wage gap.
The silence in that room after Charlie's question was the answer we all needed. Their whole argument and movement for equal pay among genders falls apart when it comes to markets where women already earn higher than men. Their biases always keep coming back to bite them in the butt.
You keep defining abortion as the murder of babies, which biological fact is you would say most abortions are done before they are actually babies. It's still just a fetus. So my
Do you
question,
know what the word fetus means?
it's just a cluster, a
That's
zygote
not what
developing
fetus means.
into a baby eventually.
The word fetus, it's a Latin word, and it just means offspring. That's all it means. It just means the next
Does that mean
generation of a
baby?
being. So, but that's what a baby is also. I mean, that's what you would call your adult child someday once he's grown, hopefully, if he hasn't been
Can I
murdered.
ask my
You would-
question?
Well, I'm just like to clarify this point. You would call your adult child your offspring too, but all of these terms that you might use, fetus, embryo, the one they love is zygote, which sounds like a Pokemon, but they use all these different terms, but it's all referring to the same being, and you were that being once. You, the person who's standing here right now.
Do any of us have a memory of being that being?
No, I mean, I don't have a memory of last Thursday, frankly. It's been a very busy week, but the lack of a memory doesn't mean that it's all right to murder me.
Well, anyways, my question is, you stress murdering babies a lot, but when it comes to murdering babies, kids, and everything in everyday shootings that keep happening, you say nothing. So I ask, why is it okay to murder babies when it's regulating women but not regulating guns?
No, I say quite a lot about that, actually. I think the crime is a terrible problem, and I think it's just awful that liberals have funded and intentionally installed liberal DAs who won't prosecute violent criminals. This has led to an increase in violent crime, and it's awful. I totally oppose that. But it's not me, and it's not my side that's funding that sort of thing. Now, you say, why wouldn't I want to regulate guns? Guns are very regulated in the United States as it is, and I've yet to hear one gun control proposal that would stop any of these shooting incidents that people talk about. People focus on the sensationalized ones from the news, a school shooting or a movie theater shooting. No proposed gun control legislation of the last 30 years would have stopped any of those. And the majority of the shootings are gang-related, and they're handgun shootings. And so I'm all for cracking down on those gangs and throwing them all in the can, but it's usually the liberals telling me that we have to abolish the police and go soft on crime, and they were just failed by society, and so we can't put them in prison, and we have to abolish the prisons too. That's not me. I'm all for it. You want to get me a bill, you want to elect me to office and get a bill in front of me that will crack down on gang crime and these gangsters using handguns to kill kids, let's do it. I'd sign that in 2 seconds. But it's not up to me, unfortunately. It's up to the side that I suspect you would consider yourself to be on.
No, it's up to a side that you're often a part of. And even if it's not you specifically, it's your friends and the people you support that just continue to... it's just, you aren't considering both sides and how, saying one thing can just contradict the other thing.
How do you think I've done that?
By saying you're murdering babies, blah, 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 just over and over again, but just not mentioning any of the babies being murdered every single day in shootings that haven't even made it to major news outlets because they're so common.
No, well, that wouldn't be a contradiction or a hypocrisy or anything. I'm focusing on one particular issue called abortion, but I actually mentioned in the speech tonight that specifically on the issue of black people being murdered, 10,000 black people are murdered every year with guns and knives and hammers and the like, but 242,000 black people at the very least are murdered through abortion. So that would seem to be a more pressing issue, but I brought it up. I'm all for trying to reduce the murder rate. Unfortunately, liberal DAs are not allowing us to do that. So you're more than welcome to convince your fellow liberals to stop funding these people and to start arresting criminals, but my side of the political aisle has been arguing to arrest and keep those criminals locked up for a very long time. And so there's very little we can do if the other side of the aisle won't work with us.
From that smug look on her face, you can tell that everything he had just said flew over her head, and she was going to ignore the facts given to her and continue whatever narrative she wants to believe in. There is no convincing these people.
Can you identify as a black person?
No.
Why?
Because I'm not black.
I'm not a woman, but I can identify as a woman according to you.
If you transition, maybe.
What defines a transition?
If that's your goal,
If you believe it.
Sure.
If you believe you're black, why aren't you black?
Well, that's just not, that's like genetics. That's like ancestry.
You're also born a man or a woman. It's the same thing. That's also genetics.
Okay, I'm over it.
I would say that I would like to know how these people think, but truthfully, we all know these people barely have any brain cells left with all of the dumb arguments they engage in every day.
Are men and women equal?
I don't know at this point. Actually, women are better than men. What do men bring to the world? Literally nothing. Women, the vibes, just everything. Everything is brought to by women.
I completely disagree. You say that men bring nothing to the world. Everything you know and love. If you look around the entire infrastructure of our nation, our economy, every building you walk into, the camera that's filming you right now, the microphone you're speaking to, everything is built, maintained, and it's still maintained to this day through men, hardworking men.
I love how he's mansplaining this to me.
No, I'm serious that the way that you are portraying your ideas and opinions is through technology and infrastructure and an economy and a nation that was not only built, but it's still maintained to this day by men.
Yeah, because women have been oppressed for hundreds of years. That was the
Hausa.
Did men allow you to have that haircut?
You taking personal attacks makes me seem like the more intelligent. If you want to have a real debate, you don't bring up personal attacks. It shows that you're
okay. I understand.
Validate your point, not some personal attack because you're losing the argument.
You gonna let him win? Come on. What you got to say?
Let's go, Poland! Feminism stops whenever it's inconvenient for y'all. In Ukraine, you have all the wives getting shipped out to Moscow and all these other nations, and they're partying in clubs and getting railed by other guys while their husbands are forced to stay in the nation. You don't see any feminists in Ukraine saying, hey, no, the women should stay also, because we're equal.
According to Schrodinger's feminism, a woman is simultaneously a victim and empowered until something happens. Then she can choose which state benefits her the most. I guess he didn't lie.
Kids have sexuality and are waking up to it, and it's better that they be educated about it by professionals, by people who can screen those books in the schools, make like a librarian, and make determinations who it's appropriate for and where it'll be. When I was a young man, which was many, many years ago, we learned it through Playboy.
Did you have it in school?
Yeah, I'm sorry. How is this different?
Did you have it in school?
No, we did not have it in school, but
that would be how it's different.
If that's the case, these aren't banned books, so why do you specifically want this book within the school? It just seems pretty common sense to me, but common sense is right-wing and fascist these days, so.
Can someone check on the kids around this man? Because there is no way any parent can allow their children to be around such a perverted old man who thinks kids are sexual beings. Somebody call the police.
Hello, how are you?
Speak to me. I'm just here to listen.
I'm not allowed to speak to you?
Not at all. I'm just here to listen.
Okay, America's the greatest country ever to exist.
And so it's Wakanda.
But that's not a place.
They tried to make me into a defensive, but I'm here to observe and listen.
No, I'm just trying to get some free hot dogs.
This is not a joke, guys.
What's up?
You think you're gonna come over here and make it a joke? It's not.
It's a joke to me because I'm not listening.
Where do you see free hot dogs at? Don't make it a joke.
You making it about me. I'm not there.
The left will eat their own.
She declares that she is only there to listen, but then goes on to keep talking and never shut up. It is quite clear that we live in a time where people get offended as a hobby.
Put the hand up and say I'm a woman.
But it's not an easy thing to do, to go out into the world.
It's very easy.
You might think it's easy to say, but to decide to do that, to say
what
this
does
is
doing
who,
it involve?
Whatever that person decides, but to go out into the world and say, I don't identify as perhaps the sex I was born as.
So why can't I identify? Okay, why can't I identify as a black lesbian?
Well, firstly, I mean, it was.
I'm serious. I'm serious. If I can identify as anything without any need to prove I'm actually what that is, why can't I, on International Women's Day, say I'm Piers Morgan, I'm a black lesbian?
I think taking it to a kind of absurd status.
I think that's
talking about quite a
with
strong
respect, I think that you'd already opened the absurdity door by saying it is limitless. You can do what you like. Anyone can say I'm a woman. So I simply ask you, why can't I?
I mean, this point kind of ridicules trans people to an extent.
Actually, I think what you said ridicules trans people, because actually people who go through the full process of transition, who actually go through what we used to call a sex change, which I don't think you can muck around with original biology, but those who actually go through surgical procedure over a number of years, I've got great respect for that very difficult journey they go on. I have zero respect for people who just wallop their hand up and go, suddenly, I'm a woman and I want all the rights that a woman has and I want to compete, say, in sport. I'm a 6'4" athlete, sprinter, swimmer, whatever, who's competed very mediocrely in male sport. I now want to come in and crush women in swimming pools and in sprinting events and break all their records, perhaps irrevocably, just by saying, I'm a woman. I think that is the absurdity you were talking about. My response was to say, well, if it's limitless, why can't I then say whatever I want to say? And you say immediately, as I knew you would, well, that's ridiculous. But my point is, you were being ridiculous.
Well, that's your opinion. You can think I'm ridiculous, but I don't think you can say, well, it has to...
I don't know why I am, but you're not.
I don't think you have to say it's post-op is the only way that someone's allowed to identify as trans.
The original standard
the
original standard for being transgender was being diagnosed with gender dysphoria, which is a legitimate condition. And now it's being, however way you feel. So if you feel on Tuesday you're a woman and on Thursday you're a pizza, that's perfectly valid. But to you, that's ridiculous. And I want to know why that is ridiculous. We should be talking about actual women on International Women's Day. That's not crazy.
I mean, I agree. I think, but your idea of an actual woman...
chromosomes. It's pretty
It's an adult female. It's not difficult.
The chromosomes are a pretty good indication.
I don't think you have to be biologically female to identify
Then
as
you
a
are
woman.
wrong, because then I can identify as a fox.
Yeah.
But again, it's a kind of absurd point.
How many? Well, let me ask you this, Angelica. How many genders are there?
2.
There are 2 genders.
Oh.
Wow, so you don't believe in transgenders?
The fact that this lady can smile and proudly call herself a woman when she can't even define what makes one a female makes it more plausible that these people are just saying anything that comes to their mind at this point.
Rape is a horrible, terrible, heinous crime. For you to think that
and I'm not saying that, like, rape culture, like, I'm honestly not talking about empirical data at all, and I don't think we should look at it as empirical data because, first of all, like, I don't know if you know how, like, uniform crime reports work, but that's like certain things that police don't report. So sometimes those numbers are skewed, first of all. And
sorry, what do you mean uniform crimes?
Do you know like uniform crime reports and how that works?
You mean several crimes going into one report?
No, it's like where the police report to the FBI specific crimes that occur, but they are like, sometimes they don't report everything. And that's how like, that's the problem. No, sometimes they just don't because sometimes it looks better on their area. And so statistics can't always tell you exactly what happens. And then there's other forms of like methods, like the NCVS, they interview victims like one-on-one, or there's like self-reporting, and that shows that we're missing a lot of data that the police just haven't reported to the FBI. So I don't think you can base all of this on empirical data when...
Well, I think we can, but what would you base it on? Because you referred to me as an idiot that rape culture is a myth. Yeah, I'm basing it on data.
I saw you in your male privilege too, so
you think I'm an idiot on that one as well?
Yeah, I do. And like my brother and I were actually just talking about you yesterday. Like, yeah, you're really something. I don't know how you ended up back on this campus because you turned into a meme. Do you know that you're a meme?
Yeah.
On Twitter? Yeah. So I don't know how you have the audacity to like come back on our campus and say that rape culture is a myth, because that's personally offensive to a lot of people I know, actually. And so especially like the audacity to come here and
the audacity
really
to come here and speak the truth. I have the audacity
and speak the truth.
Yeah.
What the f- is that?
Yeah.
You know what? How about somebody rapes you and then you come and tell me that rape culture is a myth?
That has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
How does that have nothing to do with what we're talking about? And I sit here and told you how empirical data is because of UCR crime reports.
I don't agree.
You didn't even know what a UCR crime report is. Do you even know what NCVS stands for? You tell me that.
Okay, so let's go through statistics.
Okay.
How often do you believe rape occurs? Because again, a rape culture, we both agree.
See, often? I cannot tell you the exact number because as I've repeated to you multiple times that like UCR crime reports are simply not accurate. And there are other like methods, and it is proven that those are not accurate. We do not have all of those numbers.
We don't have all of those numbers, but we have quite a bit. We have from the FBI, we have some from the DOJ.
Yeah, but do you know where the FBI gets those? Is those UCR reports that you didn't know existed. Let the record show he didn't know what a UCR crime report is. I learned that in my intro to criminal justice class.
So how often do you think rape occurs?
I couldn't tell you.
Does the word hubris mean anything to you?
No, it doesn't. Thank you.
The fact that did you really think that I didn't know who Brett Kavanaugh was?
I really didn't. Honestly, at this point, like I'm unsure what you actually know.
Right. Yeah. The whole reason was I was hoping for you to sit down, and you see now if you go back every single thing I told you I didn't know, because I wanted you to explain to me. You've explained nothing. You've presented no evidence or data. The only time you've addressed evidence or data is saying that it's use your words and it doesn't matter. The amount of rapes matter. The conviction rates matter. What we do with rapists matters. And when you come out and you say we live in a rape culture and you compare Dr. Christine Ford's allegations, let's say we have no idea whether they're true or not. Zero evidence whatsoever from 35 years ago. You can't run an investigation whether who, what, when, where, or why. We have none of it. To then use that as a springboard to say that we live in a rape culture, I think is intellectually disingenuous. And I think it does a great disservice to people who've actually been the victim of a horrible crime.
Yeah, I'm aware because I've been a victim to that crime, and as you say, like, you haven't. And you know, like you said, you didn't know what a uniform crime report is, and so maybe if you...
I also said I didn't know who Brett Kavanaugh was.
So, I mean, maybe you do know what that is, so then how can you sit here and tell me that...
How can you sit here...
That this is all, like, these statistics are all 100% correct.
No.
And who the hell let you back on this campus?
What is wrong with you? It's a public sidewalk.
So nobody invited you here? You can't just sit. Officers, if nobody invited him here, can we ask him to leave this campus? He needs to leave. Is this being handled? You're a hero? Who the said that? Raise your hand. Raise your hand if you're so out of it. Have you ever been raped? No. Then don't say Then shut the up.
Let me ask you this: have you ever had your house under threat with a bomb threat? You ever had the FBI at your house have to actually circle your house and have armed guards? So the point is, we all have individual experiences, but that does not change the fact of the matter that we do not encourage a rape culture in the United States. Rape is a horrible crime. Let's use Brett Kavanaugh as an example because you brought him up. This is really important. First off, what happened to you? I don't know the story. I don't want you to get into personal details if you're uncomfortable. Horrible, terrible. If that happened, I can't say that it has because I'm not allowed to.
Oh yeah, of course. It probably hasn't.
Well,
so.
no, legally I can't accuse a man of something if he has not been convicted of a crime. I believe you though. I believe you. I'm really sorry.
You're such a good person.
I'm really sorry that happened to you. But a good example with Brett Kavanaugh. If Brett Kavanaugh did all of the things that he accused him of, for example, a triangle, gang rape. If he raped people, cocked his head back and left, I say that castrate him and give him life. But if it's not true, I feel probably worse for him than any man I can think of in recent memory. The only difference between the two is castrate the man versus empathy is the truth.
People like her are always going to be the problem with society. No evidence, just screaming when they know they have absolutely nothing to add to the conversation. They are always going to crash out and play the victim when you don't agree with their beliefs.
Yeah, 100%. Well, also
but Charlie just has a magical wand. He's got, that's not the wand. He's
for the sake of argument.
He's used the wand. You can make $1 million a year. Yeah. You don't have to do, the adult content.
Well, the thing is, I wouldn't have to do it. That would be great, but I would still want to do it. Personally, I'm an exhibitionist. I love putting my sexual self out there for other people to see, for other people to, touch themselves to, have fun with.
Can I ask you a question? Since you're about presenting yourself to the world, do you have a good relationship with your father?
Okay, here we go.
No, I don't talk to him.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
This lady is any man's greatest fear as a father. Imagine giving your daughter all of your love just for her to turn around and decide that her body needs to be seen by every man on the internet. Charlie out here asking the questions we all have in mind.
The Conservatives continue to protect the wealthiest instead of supporting Canadians.
The honorable leader of the opposition.
That's a little bit rich coming from him as he raises taxes on single moms for the crime of driving to the grocery store while he treats himself to a jet-setting experience where the food on the plane out of a 6-day trip was $220,000. Beef brisket, parsley potatoes with truffle oil, beef tenderloin with port wine sauce, braised lamb shanks, and even cheesecake with pistachio brittle. Mr. Speaker, with Canadians lined up at the food bank, what's on the menu for this Prime Minister this summer?
It really is a thing of wonder that this guy has managed to stay in office for this long. How does one spend someone's annual earnings on fancy food? This is a new level of wasteful.
These interventions made, and it's saved their lives. I can list dozens of people in my life. So what do you have to say for...
You can list dozens of people who had surgeries and drugs as children and would be dead today if they hadn't?
I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Dozens of people who have had interventions, including gender-affirming, let's say, therapies, hormones, surgeries, that have made their lives better. I'm not saying it didn't force them to commit suicide, but it made their lives better. What do you have to say for the happy trans community?
I guess I would throw it back at you first, because the burden of proof is on you on this one. And I'll explain why the burden of proof is on you. Because, as I went over in the talk, for thousands of years, human beings existed, and there was no such thing as trying to medically transition people into another gender. And as far as we know, there was no suicide epidemic because of it. And then in the last few years, people like yourself have come along and said, we desperately need to do this, or people will be in despair and they might kill themselves. So you are making a claim that contradicts common sense, science, biology, also the entire experience of the whole history of the human race. And so what that means is that the burden of proof is on you to support it. And so I'm going to ask you, you said that people need this stuff so they can live happier lives and potentially it'd be life-saving, you said even. Aside from your anecdotes of your friends who told you so, how do you know that?
Okay, so thinking back to when I was 16 in an anatomy class, when I learned that transgender people tend to have the brain structure that confirms their identity that they identify with. And you can look that up. That's a fact.
I will look that up.
Yeah, it's a fact.
I will look that up and I won't find it.
Yeah.
It's not a fact.
Sometimes you look at these people and you feel sorry for them. She obviously has been brainwashed and abused by those who claim to be her mentors and close families, and that is why you can see the breaks down and becomes emotional the moment her argument gets debated and she has no facts to back it up.
I'm going to preface my question by stating that there's currently 5.6 million intersex Americans, which are people who are biologically not considered female or male because they have incorrect chromosomes during their process of being born. So my question is, why do you personally not support gender-affirming care when a majority of those who are seeking gender-affirming care are intersex individuals, considering that there are double the amount of intersex people that are Americans and adults than there are trans people? And why are you fueling the rights ideology of this like trans panic when considering that this healthcare that isn't even really for trans people, they just happen to use it, is more for other issues? And by doing so, you're limiting people who are suffering to get those actual treatments that they need.
Okay, so let's just go through a couple points here. First of all, you're saying that the so-called gender-affirming care is not for trans people. So what, just for the sake of argument, what if I said, okay, I agree with everything you said, gender-affirming care should be available for intersex people, but not trans. Can we agree on that then?
Yeah, I would agree, but the laws that you're supporting don't. That's why I'm asking the question.
That's actually not accurate. Have you looked at the legislation?
Yeah, can I respond to you really quick?
Well, let me finish asking my question. What specific law would prevent someone with a genetic anomaly or a deformity from seeking some kind of medical care or plastic surgery?
So currently, one of the ways to fix intersex issues that you find down the line, which is currently typically infertility, for men, erectile dysfunction, when you figure it out when you're about a teenager, you have to start doing hormone therapy and hormone blockers, both of which are banned under multiple, including the one that I'm specifically referencing, it's the Kentucky proposed state law, would make sure that intersex individuals would not have access to those, as it's considered under the umbrella of gender-affirming care, because technically it is affirming their gender, as they don't have a strictly male or female genitals or a reproductive system.
Okay. I have to confess, I'm skeptical of your reading of the Kentucky law. I have not read the exact language of that law myself, so I can't say for sure that you're wrong about that.
We truly cannot deny that this young lady came prepared and with all the facts. She didn't come to spout the usual nonsense her fellow Wokies are known for, and this, folks, is how you debate.
So I always have to ask the question at the end. I mean, everyone knows what the question's going to be. But, so what is a woman? Can you define the term?
I think the answer to what is a woman is a person who aligns with feminine traits that we traditionally associate with females, or that people that align with the feminine side of the spectrum. So that's my answer. And I think that answer should, the definition of everything changes over time. And as we continue to learn more about what humans can really be, I think that can continue to grow, and I hope you understand that.
It is really depressing that we have gotten to the point where we have to debate who is a woman and who is not a woman. Has biology taught us nothing, or did we just decide that it'd be fun to create new concepts?
Thank you. As all remarks are supposed to be directed to the chair, Madam Speaker, when is a life a life? I'll open it up to the rest of my colleagues over there. I would wager none of my colleagues on the other side will tell us when life begins. I got a $20 bill here. It's not worth as much as it used to be worth. I'll put it down here on the table. Any one of you or your colleagues wants to speak up and tell us when life begins, it's sitting here for you. Madam Speaker, when is a life a life? When does it begin? That's the most extreme idea to come out of this body, that you won't acknowledge when a life is a life.
The gentleman's time has expired.
Has it expired? I'll leave the $20 bill here, Madam
The gentleman's
Speaker.
time has expired.
If you want to answer
the gentleman's time has
here.
expired. Members are reminded to address their remarks to the chair. The gentleman.
They do not know what a woman is and cannot even tell when life begins. The people are obviously smarter than them, and these are the people we've put in position to handle the affairs of our country. We need to take them off our taxpayers' dollars.
My choice! My choice! My choice! My choice! My choice!
Her choice of what exactly? No man on earth would touch her even if he was given a 10-inch pole. She can't be looking like that and talking about choices. She better take what she gets. Which Wokie getting what they deserve was your absolute favorite, and which crazy moment got you kicking up your feet in laughter? Let us know in the comments. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you love seeing people trip over their own nonsense.